Hi, in this lesson, we're going to be using the 11 Contoso Employees IDs file to remember or refresh us on how to use the document inspector. So the first thing we're going to do is go to File and go to Save As. And we're going to save this file as 11 Employee ID Doc Inspect Solution. And then we're going to leave it as an Excel workbook, and I'm going to press Save. And yes, I'm going to replace it because I don't need the other one that was there. So what I want you to notice here is that in cell G4, I have a comment here. Joseph is on probation. See personnel file. Uh-oh, Joseph. Okay. Then if I also change my view, notice I have information in my header and information in my footer as well. This is leading us up to the document inspector. So the document inspector is found under File, and it's found under Info. And this is, Info is the default when you go to Backstage View. And under Check for Issues is where you want to go. And notice we can inspect document, check accessibility, and check compatibility. And if you remember, we've already talked about check accessibility and check compatibility. This is the backwards when you save it with a different older file version, if we might lose anything. And check accessibility is a great tool with students with disabilities when you have a program that reads to them that everything is working for them with the program that reads to them. So today we're going to do inspect document. And here are all the items that you can inspect. So there's security things that we might be inspecting for, or just looking for hidden things that we might not be aware of, just to help us better utilize our document. So you can turn these off if you're not looking for something, but it's really not a big deal if you leave them all checked. And on the test, it doesn't tell you, I believe, to deselect anything. But if it didn't, like if it said to deselect embedded documents, just deselect it and run inspect. But if you want to run it with everything, you just press inspect. And what happens is it tells us where there are some things that we might want to take care of. So remember the comment that was in G4? It's telling us that it's there. It's also telling us that there might be personal information under the document properties, okay, which if you remember is right here. And we can see that. You can see my name here, okay? And that if we were going to share this workbook, that we might not want to have my name in there. Or we might not want to have the file path or any other properties that might share information to people if I was to share this in or outside of my office, maybe even put it on the web, on the internet, excuse me. So there's all these ones with the pivot tables and things. There's none of them. That's why it doesn't say anything over on that right-hand side. Okay, then we get to header and footer, and there's telling us there's a header and footer information in there. And we went and checked it ahead of time, and we saw that. It's also telling us that there are columns that are hidden too. Okay. It also tells us some hidden columns within the pivot table and table headers cannot be removed. These types of columns are unhidden when you click Remove All. The other thing is it telling us that the hidden worksheets, number of hidden worksheets found is 1. Okay. So what we're going to do is in the directions, it tells us to remove all for comments and the annotations. So we're going to remove the comments that are there. It also tells us to remove the document properties and personal information. So I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, and you notice if you looked over here as I did that, it changed information. It's not going to change everything, or get rid of everything, but it does get rid of a lot. They do not want us to remove the header and footer, so be careful. Don't get click happy, if you will, when you are removing on that certification exam, because sometimes you are not removing everything that's found. We are going to remove the hidden rows and columns, and we are going to remove the hidden worksheets. The only thing that's left is the rows and headers. You could re-inspect if you want to, turning things on, turning things off again, or leaving as is. And then you notice that the only one this time, since we cleared all the others, is the remove header and footer. Then you press close, and then look, instantly now all this personal information is gone. My name is gone here. If I return to the document, look, G4 is gone. The hidden worksheet is gone, okay? And if I switch over my view, my header and footer information is still here because I didn't tell it to remove that. Sometimes it is suggested when you are doing a document inspector that you make a copy first, just in case you don't want to lose some of the stuff that you remove when you use this feature. All right, so the next thing I'm going to show you in this lesson is how to mark a document as final. So we're going to use this, we're going to go back to the original Contoso employees ID. So I'm going to save this. And I'm going to exit. And I'm going to go to my files. And I'm going to open up that 11 Contoso IDs again. And I am going to go to File and Save As. And I'm going to get to the file folder where I want to save my work. And this one's going to be called 11 Employee ID Final Solution. I'm going to press Save. Notice again that comments is back, okay? And the other thing I didn't show you last time was, look, here's that hidden workbook, and I got rid of it with that document inspector. All right, so with that said, we are going to go to File. And again, this is under Info, and this is under Protect Workbook. And there's a bunch of things we can do here, okay? Under Protect Workbook, we can add a digital signature if we want. We can restrict access to what people can and can't do in terms of copying or printing. We could protect the workbook structure. And then with a password, essentially, we could protect the worksheet, which we've already learned about, with encrypting it with a password. And then what we're here to do is mark as final, which just lets the reader know that the workbook is final and ready for it, really in read-only only. So you guys know from the thousands of times between MITA A and MITA B that you would have to enable the contents. This is the reason why you have to enable contents, because it's letting you know that, hey, somebody said this was done, that you really don't need to make any changes to it. It's not like secure like a password, because it's still going to let somebody make changes. This is just a, hey, Ms. Gallagher thinks it's done, but if Mr. Freilich opens it up and changes something, that's totally okay, but Ms. Gallagher thinks that it's done and doesn't need any changes. So it's just kind of a FYI, almost like a final draft to a paper, if you will, in terms of Excel with a seal. So we're going to click Mark as Final. And then the messenger box opens up, and it says that the workbook will be marked as final, and it will also be saved. Press OK. And it says this document has been marked as final, indicating that editing is complete in the final version of the document. When a document is marked as final, the status property is set to final, and typing and editing the commands and proofing marks are turned off. You recognize that a document is marked as final when Mark as Final icon appears on the status bar. And you could turn that off if you wanted to. So this is just like a little FYI to why we do it, which is what I was trying to tell you. So we press OK, and there it is. Okay, so if and you see it's in read only, okay, so now if I go ahead and I click that edit anyway, it's not read only anymore. Okay, so if I go through this process again, okay, and I click mark as final and I say OK, and then I say OK, notice that all my stuff up here is inactive because I'm trying to say, hey, you can look at it, but I really don't want you making any changes because it's truly done. But you still could if you want to, because it's not the same as a password. All right. Thank you.